Hi, I'm Helen and welcome to my channel. Today's class is class number 7 of my chakra series, the crown chakra, Sahasrara. Before we start class, I'll just let you know I have this free download, Practices to Heal the Chakras. You can find the link underneath this video. It has so much information in it about how to identify when your chakras are out of balance, and also some really easy practices you can do to help bring them back in alignment. Links below the video, please check it out. And without further ado, we'll start today's class. Come to a comfortable seat. I like to sit on a blanket or a bolster just to get my hips higher than my knees. Fold your legs in any way that's comfortable. Place the hands face down on the knees to represent grounding. Spine straight, chin parallel to the floor, and eyes closed. And just start to center in on your breathing. So this class is all about the crown chakra, and as we move up the chakras, you may have noticed they become more subtle. So this class will start at the root and work all the way up to the crown. So as you sit here with your palms face downwards on the knees, just start to center in on your root chakra, the Muladhara. It's the base of the spine, the perineum. Imagine a red glowing light here. And this is where we connect with the earth, and it's the staging ground of our tribal mind. It's who we are, our primal survival needs, shelter, security, safety, food. This is the foundation of our entire existence. And move your hands to your lower belly for the sacral chakra. This is where we hold our identity with our family and friends and our relationships. Imagine an orange glow here. This is where we hold our pleasures and all our traumas. Now bring the hands to the navel, the Manipura chakra, the solar plexus chakra. Imagine a yellow glowing light. This is where we become our individual selves and we project our own power out into the world with motivation and discipline. Now bring the hands to the heart. Imagine a green light here for Anahata chakra. This is where we connect with all beings everywhere, with compassion and universal love, and that includes to ourselves. And bring the hands to the throat for Vishuddha chakra. Imagine a blue ball of light here. This is where we speak our authentic truth and our self-expression. It's how we communicate who we really are. Now bring the thumbs to the forehead, to the third eye for Ajna chakra. Imagine an indigo ball of light here. This is the seat of our cognitive mind and our intellectual abilities and our intuition. Now raise the hands high above the head for the crown chakra, the Sahasrara. This is a violet or white light, and it's our connection to the universe and all that exists above and beyond reality. Now bring the hands back down and we'll just wake up the spine. So raise the hands again and twist round to the left. Placing the right hand on the left knee. Looking over that left shoulder. Feeling the twist from the mid to upper back. Deep breaths. Then inhale back to center and over to the right. So the left hand comes outside the right knee. You can have the right hand behind like a kickstand, looking over that shoulder. Again, the twist is from the mid to upper back, not the lower back. And breathe. Inhale back to center. Place the right fingertips outside the right hip and lean over to the right, really grounding that left hip down. You can look up towards the right palm or down to the ground, whatever feels good for your neck. But feel the stretch all down the side body. And inhale center and over to the other side. So really making sure you're grounding that right hip down. Stretching out the whole of that right side body. Maybe looking at the right palm. Deep breaths. Then inhale back to center. Bring the hands down to the knees and we'll move through some seated cat-cow. So as you exhale, you round the spine. As you inhale, come forward and lift the chest. Just move in time with your breathing. Inhale forward and exhale, rounding the back. Inhale forward. Exhale, round in the back. Inhale forward. Exhale, round. Come back to neutral. So we'll make our way onto the back here. So if you've been sitting on a blanket, just move it to one side. Come down and bring the knees into the chest for Apanasana. So we'll start with some root chakra poses. Here the entire length of the spine is grounded into the earth. Give yourself a tight squeeze, a nice hug. Feeling safe and secure in your body and in your practice. And then release the feet to the floor. Feet come underneath the knees, feet are hip distance apart, and lift the hips for bridge pose. So grounding the backs of the arms into the earth, grounding all four corners of the feet, really lengthening out the lower back. Imagining you're pushing it towards the knees. Chest lifts, deep breaths. Feeling that connection with the earth. Breathing. And then slowly release the hips down to the floor. Take the left leg and come in to thread the needle. So you're externally rotating the left knee. Left foot comes above the right knee on the thigh. And bring the legs in towards the chest, feeling a stretch in the left outer hip. Deep breaths. And then release and go to the other side. So make sure you keep the foot flexed as that helps protect the knee. And feel the stretch in the outer hip. You're not feeling it in the knee or the ankle. All the stretch is coming from that right outer hip. And then release. And we'll make our way up to seated. So squeeze the knees in one more time and maybe rock and roll up. We'll come into pigeon. So tucking the right toes underneath you, the left leg is bent. You can place a block or something underneath the left cheek if it's very elevated. Walk that right foot back and keeping the hips neutral. Ground into that left hip. Lengthen out of the waist. Maybe lift the arms up to the universe. And then exhale. Fold forward over the front leg. So depending on how open your hip is will depend on the angle of this front leg. Mine is quite near my groin. And just start to settle here. Surrendering down. Feeling that support from the earth. This is a really grounding pose, and that's all about the root chakra. Try and keep weight in the right hip, and that helps you neutralize the pelvis and actually open the left hip more. Just centering on your breathing and relax here, enjoying the stretch. When we do these deep hip openers at the start of class, they get into the joint capsules a little bit more than in the muscles. And this really helps to develop our flexibility. When you have an open body, you can have an open mind. Slowly come back up, swing that right leg forward and the left leg back, and we'll come into pigeon on the other side. So again, depending on the openness of the hips, will depend on the angle of the front leg. Tuck those left toes under and walk the leg back. Hips remain neutral, facing forward, maybe lifting the arms up straight out of your crown chakra, and then start to settle down and surrender deep into the earth. So the root chakra is the foundation of all of the other chakras. When we're stable here, when we have security in our home life and in our finances and in our bodies, we can start to ascend the ladder of the other chakras. Think of the color red and earth. And this will really help you connect with this energy center at the base of the spine. Then start to come back up and move back into a brief downward facing dog, just to stretch out the legs. And then we'll bring the knees down for tabletop. So moving on to the second chakra, the sacral, we'll start to do some hip circles to bring some fluidity into this area. So this chakra is all about the water element, flowing. It's all about our relationships, our pleasures, and our traumas as well. We hold so much here in the hips. It feels so good to stretch them out, all different directions. And when you've done 5 circles in one direction, go the other way. Just feeling that full range of motion, mobilizing the body, imagining you're flowing through water. Visualizing the color orange, just enjoying this movement. And come back to center and into downward facing dog. Right leg lifts to the sky, and as you exhale, right foot steps up between the hands for a low lunge. Get your position, front knee over front ankle, and then descend the back knee and bring the body up, hands on the right knee. Then inhale the palms up to the sky. Knit the front ribs in. Breathe here. So feeling that stretch in the left hip flexor, arms up towards the universe. Deep breathing. Hugging into the midline, and then open the chest to the sky. Elbows coming back as if they're touching each wall of your room. Lifting the chest, maybe looking up. And then lift the hands up and plant back to the floor. And push the hips back for half split. So this is getting into the backs of the legs. Go as deep as your flexibility allows. Doesn't matter how far you descend down over that front leg. All that matters is you feel a stretch. And then come back up to the low lunge, plant the hands, tuck the back toes, step back, downward facing dog. Second side, left leg lifts to the sky, left foot steps up between the hands. Get your position, then descend the right knee. Body comes up, feeling that stretch in that right hip flexor. Arms to the sky, extending out, root to crown, breathing. Front ribs are in, core is engaged, shoulders are relaxed. And then open the elbows, chest to the sky, shining your heart chakra up to the universe, and your third eye chakra and your throat chakra. deep breathing. Descend the hands, and then the hips come back for half split on the left side. So second side could mean a second story. Again, don't worry about how far you come forward. Go within the range of motion that's good for your body. Then inhale, come back up. Tuck the back toes, plant the hands, step back. Downward facing dog. Inhale forward to plank. Take a vinyasa, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe here. Inhale, roll forward to plank. And we'll hold here for 5 breaths. So we're now moving on to the Manipura chakra, the solar plexus. This is our internal heat and fire. And core poses are so great to stimulate this chakra. Steady breath, steady mind, and then back to downward facing dog. Then make your way to the front of the mat and come and sit on the seat. And we'll move into Navasana, boat pose. So sitting on the sit bones, you can have the hands behind the thighs, lift the shins parallel to the floor, and breathe here. So trying to keep the back straight, chest lifted. Maybe you can release the hands. You can keep holding on if that feels good for you. Breathe here. Then lift the right leg, then the left, and alternate between the right and the left. This is just an option. You can always sit here holding the backs of the thighs if that's the level of your strength, and gradually build up to this. Always breathing, and then maybe extend both legs up. Hold here, 10 breaths. Keeping that core activated, the back straight. Remember, you can hold on to the backs of the legs here, or keep the knees bent, whatever feels good for you. And then cross over the feet, step back or jump, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Just breathe here for a moment, reconnect. And then roll forward to plank and descend all the way to the belly. Place the hands underneath the shoulders and we'll come into cobra. So on an inhale, the chest lifts and the head lifts, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. Breathe here. Opening that chest. Minimal weight in the arms. The strength is from the back. Deep breaths. And then descend down. Interlace the fingers behind the back and we'll come in to a version of Shalabhasana. So inhale, lift the chest up. Gazing point is just in front of the mat. Maybe you can lift the hands off of the glutes. Again, using the strength of the back to open the chest, open the heart, and come back down. Breathe here. And then interlace the hands again, and this time everything lifts. The feet, the legs, the chest. Activating the whole back body, a really energizing pose. Remembering to breathe. And then exhale, release down. And place the hands either side of the ribs and push up to tabletop. Come into Anahata Asana, heart melting pose. So walk the hands forward and bring the forehead down to the floor. Hips are over the knees, or maybe you can descend the chest and the chin to the floor. This really gets into the shoulders and the upper back. A great heart opening pose. Just go to the level that's good for your body. Breathe in deep, feeling that opening, feeling your heart melting into the earth. And then inhale, slowly come back up and bring the seat to the heels. So we're coming to camel pose, moving on to the throat chakra. So just reconnect here for a moment with the breath. Those back bends are really exhilarating. And then inhale, come up to the knees. Knees are directly underneath the hips. You can fold the mat over to cushion the knees a bit. Or if you're like me and you've got 3 mats, you don't need to do that. Knees are underneath the hips, and then bring the hands onto the lower back. Imagine that somebody's pulling you up underneath your armpits. Press the hands into the small of the back, and maybe the chest lifts and the head comes back for this version of camel pose. Exposing the throat. And then exhale, seat to heels, don't lean forward, and just sit here for a moment. Reconnect with the breath, palms facing upwards. And get ready for camel number 2. So you can do that same version again, or move on to another stage. So knees underneath the hips, tucking the tailbone, lifting the chest. Then maybe the right hand comes up and sweeps back to the right heel, the left hand to left heel. Imagining somebody's pushing a fist between your shoulder blades, lifting the chest towards the sky, lifting the throat towards the sky, stretching the whole of the front of the thighs and the hip flexors. Steady breathing. When you're ready to come up neutral, head comes up last, seat to heels. Palms to the sky. Relax here a moment. Reconnect. We'll get ready for camel 3. This time, the left arm will go back first, followed by the right, or you can always do the version with your hands on the small of your back. Whatever version you're in, that's the camel that's good for you. Be happy and content. Maybe you've gone a little bit deeper this time as the body starts to open. Deep breaths. Enjoying this front body stretch, and then inhale, come up neutral, seat to heels. Breathe. Just close the eyes and enjoy all that energy that's gathering around the throat and chest area. You can visualize a bright blue ball of light at the throat. This is where you speak your authentic truth. And then we'll come forward and come back into downward facing dog. Roll forward to plank and take a vinyasa. You can always avoid the vinyasas, you don't have to do them. Just helps wipe the slate clean. And then step or jump forward and we'll come onto the seat. For Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. So pull the flesh of the buttocks back. This is difficult for you to sit. You can sit on a blanket and that really helps make this pose more accessible. Legs are straight and active. Inhale the palms to the sky and then tip forward from the waist like you're folding in half. Bring the hands down to the floor. They can come to the legs or the feet. You can even get a blanket and place it over your legs and surrender down. So this is moving on to the 3rd eye chakra, the forehead. So if you're leaning on a blanket, you can connect your 3rd eye. Just start to turn inward here and surrender down. Deep breaths. Letting go of any attachment of how deep you feel you should be in this pose. These forward bends stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. They're really calming. When we pause for a moment in poses like this, it helps us turn inward and connect with who we really are. Connect with our intuition and what lies beneath all the layers and masks that we may hide behind in the everyday world. Long deep breaths here. The longer you sit here, the deeper you may find you can go. Maybe the forehead comes to the knees. And then inhale, lift up out of the waist and come back up. And then take another vinyasa or skip it and go straight to downward facing dog. Do what's right for your body and your practice. And then from downward facing dog, we'll move into dolphin pose. So elbows come down, keep the forearms parallel. And you may want to move the feet back and we'll come into some dolphin planks. So lifting up to dolphin and then forward to plank. Bringing the face over the hands. A few rounds of this. Sometimes you have to wiggle your feet a bit to get the perfect position. Feel a bit awkward, but this is so great to strengthen the shoulders and the core as we're moving towards our peak pose for the crown. And then walk the feet in, shorten your dolphin and just breathe here. So really wrap the upper arms in and activate the sides of the shoulders, hugging into the midline. This really builds strength, helps you in all inversions. Then bring the knees down, third eye to the floor, hands come behind and just surrender here in child's pose. So if headstand isn't in your practice, you can do legs up the wall pose, or you can do dolphin again. If you want to try headstand and your neck is fine, then you can come along with me and try it. So we'll start by bringing the forearms to the floor. Elbows come directly underneath the shoulders and grab the upper arms with the opposite elbows. So make sure your elbows stay underneath your shoulders. This is key to getting stability in headstand. And once you've got your distance, clasp the hands in front, pressing the forearms into the floor and the little fingers into the floor. Widen the upper back, head comes down to the crown, in between the hands. Then tuck the toes and walk the legs in till the hips are above the shoulders. Maybe bring one knee into the chest and then release down. Maybe bring the other knee in and then release down. And then bring the knees back to the earth, back to child's pose. So you can do that again, bringing one knee in at a time to the chest, maybe holding in a little egg and then extending the legs up. Or I'll show you how to come up with straight legs. So get your position with the arms. Head nestles in between the palms. Tuck the toes. Walk the feet in till the hips are as much above the shoulders as possible. Then using the strength of the core and the backs of the legs, lift up, headstand. Breathe here, focus the mind. So this pose is all about physics, maintaining that straight line, hips above the shoulders, activate the core, the whole of the front body to give you stability, quieten the mind, find that fixed gazing point, deep breaths. Trying to maintain stillness and not panicking. This practice develops over years. And then come down whenever you're ready. You can come down with straight legs, sending the hips back and the feet forward. Or you can come down one leg at a time. Bring the toes down and then come back into child's pose, rolling onto the third eye. Arms behind with the palms facing up. Breathe here. So the crown chakra is all about our connection to the divine and the universe, going beyond the bounds of reality. It's where we seek our inspiration for the future and our connection to all things spiritual. Sahasrara means 1,000 petals, and it's represented by the colour violet or white. Roll out of child's pose, and we'll take one last vinyasa, or you can skip it. Wipe that slate clean. Let go of any limiting beliefs or negative talk that you're saying to yourselves about headstand, and then come to sit on the seat and slowly make your way down onto the back. Bring the knees into the chest for a final little squeeze, and then we'll move into a supine twist. So bring the arms out to cactus, and then allow the legs to fall gently over to the right, maybe looking over that left shoulder. Deep breaths just help reset the spine after our practice. And then knees back to center, and then let them fall the other way to the left, maybe looking out over the right shoulder. Enjoying this twist, feeling that stretch in the right side body. Knees back to center, one last little squeeze before we release the legs one at a time out into Shavasana. Let the feet flop open, palms to the sky. Back of the neck is long with the chin slightly tucked, and the windows of the eyes are closed, and the arrows of attention turn inwards. The terms enlightenment, nirvana, and samadhi describe superconscious awareness. In the first 5 chakras, there is the sensory awareness of smell, taste, sight, touch, and sound. At the 6th chakra, there is the mental awareness of time, space, and object. At the 7th chakra, there is the superconscious awareness of the self as the infinite. Our mind is a stream of consciousness, transforming and evolving from one stage into the next. The 7 stages of the chakras form a connecting ladder between the energies of earth at the 1st chakra and heaven at the 7th. This is Jacob's ladder, leading from the material plane to the heavenly realm of pure consciousness. In order for one to be spiritually, emotionally, and mentally whole, the ladder must be complete. Each chakra must be opened, balanced, and energized to reach the clear mind of our original nature. When Kundalini has finished her evolutionary journey of separation and returns to union with Shiva at the Sahasrara, all individuality dissolves into Sat Chit Ananda, truth, consciousness, bliss. Final union is achieved with our true self. Everything is realized. Start to wiggle the fingers and toes, coming back into the body. Stretch the arms overhead, full body stretch. And then when you're ready, bring one knee in at a time into the chest, give yourself a squeeze. And then fall over onto your favorite side, coming into the fetal position. Breathe here. Then keeping the eyes closed, push yourself up to a comfortable seat. Bring the hands, palms down on the knees, representing the grounding of the root chakra. Bring your awareness to your root, to that red ball of light again, the earth, the foundation of who we are. Bring the hands to the belly for Svadhisthana, our relationships to the solar plexus, Manipura for our personal power, to the heart, Anahata, our interconnectedness with all living beings, to the throat for our personal truth and self-expression, to the third eye, center of our cognitive mind and our intuition. And then lift the prayer up to the heavens above, connecting with the crown and enlightenment and realms beyond our consciousness. Thank you for sharing this chakra series with me. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you.